To the surprise of absolutely no one, big companies are big mad about this man right here. It's crazy how one passionate gamer can get everyone in a loop. And I'm so excited. I'm so happy that someone actually took the mental upon himself to speak up against all of the atrocious stuff that we experience as gamers. All that he has done, mind you, was literally advocating for basic consumer rights. In case you're unfamiliar with the Stop Killing Games movement, the gist of it is big companies that make video, or any company I think whatsoever that makes video games online or any video games whatsoever, cannot take those games away from you whenever they shut down. So they have to provide some sort of an alternative, maybe online, maybe offline, doesn't really matter, but they cannot take it away, like Ubisoft did with some of their games. I think the racing game, but maybe it wasn't theirs, never mind. That's the gist of it. So that got some serious anger problems from big companies.
Hello! I have some updates for the Stop Killing Games campaign. One for the EU and one for the United States. We'll start with the EU. First, a decision from the EU Commission is coming up soon for the European Citizens Initiative on June 16th. Now, seeing as how most of the attention of the campaign has been on the initiative, you might think this is it. This is what will determine if we can solve the problem of publishers destroying games or not.
Sure.
But no, it's really not. I'll get to that. But before I do, let's talk about how things have been going with the Commission. Over time, there's been a pattern of behavior that's caused us to not be optimistic on the direction things are heading. Some of this we've already talked about. First, in July of 2025, there was that Euractiv report about an accidentally leaked statement that was pulled down so fast we didn't get to see it, but according to the article, the Commission was planning to have a non-binding communication on this issue. And this was before we had even finished collecting signatures or presented any evidence.
So they were targeting him before he even made it? That's pathetic, bro. That's actually sad.
Next, when we had our first meeting with the Commission in October, I'm told the tone there was that they were looking for reasons to reject the initiative. And they used industry talking points, calling games living, breathing things, even though that's irrelevant since the initiative only focuses on games that are no longer being updated.
So isn't it, by going by that logic, it would be more beneficial to like preserve them? That would be the most humane thing. Like, why do you automatically opt to killing them? It doesn't make any sense.
But most of all, we were told that they were seeking a deregulatory agenda. Well, since the whole point of the Citizens Initiative is to have better regulation, I can see where those two things might be at odds. Later in February, there was another meeting with the Commission, and the questions they had would take a whole other video in themselves to go over, but the short version is they didn't feel neutral. They felt more like what you would expect from a prosecutor. And some of them were repeats of questions we had already answered. And this happened in a meeting we had in May also. I wasn't present at most of the meetings, but I've been told by organizers that we may have answered some of the same questions from the Commission at least 3 separate times now. Like how we're not asking for endless support, that's a big one. Or games with third-party licensed content like car brands or music can still be played after those licenses end. They just can't continue being sold. It's kind of like we're starting at zero with the Commission every time.
Because they're trying to find a loophole, they're trying to find an angle, they're trying to find chinks in your armor to get a gotcha moment and completely strip you away from all authority and reason whatsoever. You should never capitulate to their demands, and you should never let them do that. Never. Big companies are, oh my god, it's so greedy. I don't really want to get into this rant again, but it's just so tiresome. Like, I'm honestly jaded. It's such a basic law that shouldn't even reach to a point where a citizen is trying to apply for, like, what it was, 1 million signatures online, something like that, to even appeal to them, to the Commission. It's so stupid. It should have already been made. But no, these people don't care. They only care about padding their wallets. Big companies are clearly in cahoots with the government. And nothing matters. You have no power. Even though you're right. Even though you have a true heart. And everyone knows that you're in the right here. It won't matter. They do what they want.
The Commission has floated a few non-solutions that don't address the problem. In fact, that's exactly what prompted us to have a whole slide on those at the parliamentary hearing, because these came directly from the Commission. And that's before we consider the representation. The EU initiative represents at least 1.3 million people in the EU.
Damn.
However, the industry, according
Let's see, who voted the most? Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria. Man, I didn't know there. Oh, wait. No, it's not by order. Let's see, who has the most? Denmark, of course. Wait, what? France. Oh, God. Wait, Germany. What? Germany, more people. That's crazy. Okay, so Germany with the most gamers. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. It just like you always see them online. Second is, let's see, is it Poland? Okay, that's actually kind of surprising. No, it's Poland and France. They're almost tied up. France got a little bit of a lead. Okay, so German, France, and Poland. Interesting results. Very interesting. Okay.
to the lobby, is representing 116,000 people as of 2024. And
But
I
yeah,
have no
Germany
reason to
takes
doubt
all of them.
those numbers, though there have been a lot of layoffs since that data was collected, but whatever, let's give them that. So we're representing at least 11 times as many people. And these are only the dedicated people who went out of their way to sign the initiative. The real number is likely far higher. But even this comparison assumes everyone in the
Spain
industry
also?
is not being represented by our side, which definitely isn't the case. Back when the lobby Video Games Europe made a statement against the movement, one of the members, Epic Games, came out and said they were uncommitted on this issue. So that statement wasn't coming from them. And member BeamNG flat out said they disagreed with the statement, and to the best of their knowledge, weren't even consulted on a vote.
What Pirate Software thinks? Anyone ask him? I think Pirate Software is shadow puppeteering the EU Council, and he's like, oh, you're never gonna get this. Oh, sorry, it's like, oh, you're never gonna get this, because he's without the bass booster on his microphone, and he's like, he's achieving his vendetta vicariously through them.
But the industry has had at least 3 times more meetings with the commission on this than we have. But I'm told by political insiders this doesn't even come close to representing the full picture, since most meetings don't use the transparency register. And the conservative estimate is the industry has been meeting with the EU regulating bodies hundreds of times on this. But it's probably thousands. It's like I've said before, the industry is spending more money lobbying against having end-of-life plans in games than it would cost them to actually implement them in the future.
Of course, because that would set a precedent for future laws like this to enact. They want to nip this in the bud. They have no problem giving you this ground, but the problem is, the goalpost would only move closer and closer to them, and they don't want that. It would set a precedent where everyone can make up the law that completely screws up big companies, and Stop Killing Games would be the only first dot on a long-weighted graph. And that they don't want that. They don't want that graph. The only graph they want is stocks that goes like this. That's it.
Some meetings that have been disclosed are with EU Commissioner Michael McGrath flying to California to talk with members of the Entertainment Software Association, like Electronic Arts, Roblox. And just recently, before the Commission's decision, they've had another meeting with lobby group Video Games Europe, which was invite only and private. So unlike our Parliament hearing, there's no public record of it. In other words, it was a meeting about consumer policy in video games where nobody representing consumers was invited. What this all means is, just going by the numbers of people involved,
Makes
the
sense.
industry, or rather some members of the industry, are being overrepresented to the commission by at least 30 to 1. But it might be closer to 300 to 1. It's hard to say. I think this explains why I have to keep answering the same questions from the commission over and over again, and how they sometimes seem to be operating on bad information on how video games actually work. It's like talking to that guy from the movie Memento. Taken
that
all
was such a
together,
great
this has not
movie.
given us confidence that we're going to get
I
legislation
think it was Nolan
proposed by
first.
the commission. This is especially noticeable when we look at how progress in California has gone. We've been working to get similar legislation passed there too, in the form of Assembly Bill 1921. Compared to the EU Commission, that has just been night and day in terms of procedure. We made our proposal, the state legislature recognized this was a problem, there was some back and forth with revision and clarification. Later, the industry made their stance known, in parts of which they straight up lied. I was even asked to make a video going through it. I especially like how they said allowing players to continue playing games with third-party content after support ends is impossible.
They
when
did not
that's
say that.
literally been done in hundreds of games before, and we gave some examples. So the state assembly saw right through the false claims, and the bill is proceeded forward. However, since then, it has been modified so all existing games will get grandfathered in. Okay, see, that's what a compromise looks like. We want games to stop being destroyed. The industry wants nothing to change. So
Exactly. And it's just so debilitating to see that they're actually willing to give up some ground, right? They're not going all in, full gung ho, like, let's tear these bastards up. No, they want to reach an amicable agreement, and that's completely fine. But big companies don't want to give you an inch. You will own nothing, and you will enjoy it.
both sides are getting some of what they want. This revision will protect less games and take longer to go into effect, but it means games farther in the future will still get protected. That's still a win. Compare this to that slide of non-solutions, and it's like we're on a different planet. Especially when the Entertainment Software Association is even more aggressive than Video Games Europe. Which brings us to the US news. Just recently, the ESA's CEO came out and used the same debunked arguments again, hoping this time they can hoodwink the state senate, since they were unsuccessful at tricking the state assembly. Okay, there's more to say about the EU, and if you saw this video, you know exactly where this next part is going. In fact, feel free to skip ahead if you want. But for everyone else, the political insiders have insisted I cover this statement by the ESA also. So let's do it.
Sure.
I'll try and be quicker this time. We'll just run through the bigger parts. A proposed California law is threatening the modern gameplay experience by misunderstanding how online services work. Misunderstanding. No, this is gaslighting. The bill understands how games work. The ESA just doesn't like its conclusions with how the industry is behaving. This is like saying...
Also, why do they type like children? Oh, they do it by misunderstanding how online services work. Okay, then explain how. Like, explain. Why are you using, like, toddler argument? So idiotic. And again, like, oh my god, it's so stupid to see.
Farmers who want to repair their tractors
I really don't want to say it again.
Blocked by John Deere misunderstand how tractors are made. Oh, yeah, that's real honest framing. But
yeah.
Don't take my word for it. They say it's misunderstanding how they work. Okay, fine. What exactly is the bill misunderstanding?
There we go.
That's a bold claim.
There we go.
Well, they tell you.
Nothing.
Keeping it running indefinitely. See, there it is. It's going to come up again and again. Their explanation of what is being misunderstood is something the bill is not asking for. If you read over this bill, you will not find one mention of publishers needing to host or maintain a game indefinitely.
Yeah, they're just constantly misconstrued what you guys are saying, and the only reason they do that is because they're gonna keep operating costs high, because hiring lawyers and all that stuff, it's super expensive, and I bet he's not doing it on himself, right? No way he's doing it on his own and representing himself. He must hire someone, at the very least, for basic counseling, right? And they're gonna tire him out. They're gonna win a battle of attrition because these companies have infinite money. That's practically what they're trying to do. That's how big companies win such lawsuits. And I'm really afraid that we're not gonna see this through. I'm really afraid. I hope that I'm wrong about this, though.
ESA is making this up. This is what's known as a lie by paltering. We'll see this again. Okay, I could say more about rebuilding a game that hasn't been built yet, especially when local test environments are common, but this isn't the most important part, so let's move along. Same goes for full refunds. Just remember, games become more valuable once they're no longer published. Provide consumers with a guarantee that if they pay for access to play an online game, they will keep that access for as long as they want. Okay, access. That can mean more than one thing. I even made a slide from the last video on this. I'm just going to reuse it here. Now, last time, it became clear they were using this second definition. So this is going to be another point for something the bill is not asking for. This bill shows a fundamental lack of knowledge about how games are built and maintained. Yeah, it's gaslighting again, by trying to say that having consumer rights is the same thing as not understanding how video games work. Nice how they don't elaborate either. And this whole segment about keeping servers running is
Yeah, they don't need to elaborate. You're the one who needs to elaborate because they're already winning. They're winning by proxy. They're just, they're how do you say that? Like, they're offshoots of the higher-ups. That's how it works. It's hand-washing hand thing, right? Like, it's so obviously corruption. It's insane, and there's nothing you can do against it. Literally nothing. You try to fight fair, you try to do the law, but no, then people are surprised. Like, same companies, by the way, are then crying that piracy is running rampant. Of course it runs rampant because of stuff like this. What do you expect? And I'm not for piracy, obviously. I want to pay for good stuff, I want to play good games, but what are you doing? You're just pushing more and more people into a corner.
Another lie by Paltering. Publishers will be free to shut down servers and not maintain anything under the bill. And lie by Paltering a fourth time. This part about licenses would only be true if publishers had to host the game forever. They don't. Okay, this part is unlikely to cost even 1% of the entire game budget. Local test environments already happen on existing budgets. And lie by Paltering 5 times now. Publishers would not need to maintain anything. Oh wait, did I say 5? I meant 6. The games will not be a permanent obligation. They'll be a one-time obligation at end of life. Okay, this part is just a lie of commission. The vast majority of all games ever made are compliant. This is nothing new. And this next part, wow, 7 times, people. How many times do we need to say the bill is not asking for endless support?
Easy.
Apparently, at least 7. This part is an opinion. Okay, this is irrelevant since it wouldn't prevent those kinds of games from being made. And most live service games are run by large studios. Oh, and once more, people, once more on our way out. Lie by Paltering an 8th time.
Oh, okay. They snuck up one more lie towards the end there. It's a good one. It's a good one. They did towards the end of the paper. They were like, oh, okay, we stopped with all the lies. It's fine. And then bam, you got another one. Just towards the end of reading. Actually, really good.
Finish it off with another gaslight.
I like that.
This is the opposition, guys. It's just packed full of lies. Though I appreciate the ESA being so naked about it. This is the kind of narrative I've had to deal with for years, often by forces much bigger than myself. I hope you guys appreciate the patience we've had with having everything we say get twisted like this again and again.
We do.
You watch. I would bet money this is not the last time the industry claims we're asking for endless support.
No, it's
not. Or how
not.
running games after support ends is impossible. Or who knows what they'll make up next. So that's the US. Back to the EU Commission. This is exactly the kind of narrative the EU Commission has been dominantly listening to. I'd say by at least 3-1. Now, if you wanted to be generous, you could say the Commission only met with individual members in California. We don't have it on record they met with the ESA themselves. But guess who they were talking to? You know, a week and a half ago. Video Games Europe, who has also floated this narrative, and Yves Guillemot, the CEO of Ubisoft. And what does he have to say about the initiative? Support for all games.
CEO of Ubisoft. Yeah, I really want to just take a moment to see the Ubisoft stocks, but we already know where the graph is.
Games cannot last forever.
We don't need to show it again.
An argument about something the initiative is not asking for. Now, where have we seen this before? Now, we're not trying to write off the EU Commission. We'd be happy for their support. But based on all the circumstantial evidence and who they're talking to the most, you can understand why we think it could be that article from almost a year ago was right all along. And all we'll see is a non-binding communication and nothing changes. But I said earlier, the Commission's decision doesn't really matter. Why is that? Well, if the Commission decides something needs to be done, great. They can introduce legislation at EU Parliament. Normally, that's a necessary step, since EU Parliament, ironically, cannot introduce legislation, only amend it. But it just so happens there is existing legislation, the Digital Fairness Act, which coincidentally is an ideal fit for our issue. It's for digital issues with insufficient enforcement, legal uncertainty, risk of regulatory fragmentation across member states, and lack of incentives for businesses to aim for a higher standard.
Surely people would care.
That describes our issue of game destruction all over. Plus, it already targets other aspects of video games. It fits like a glove. And amending that is exactly what's set to happen. Thanks again to Moritz Katzner and his team, we have made serious inroads in Parliament. Just recently, we've even had an inquiry call on legislative action to the Commission, signed by 45 members of European Parliament. And collectively, we have majority support on this issue. This means we're in a position to pass legislation on this, even without the Commission's blessing.
Really? That's how it works? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, that's good. That's actually really good. I didn't know that's how it works.
So the message from all this is don't be discouraged by what the Commission decides on the 16th. It is no longer the deciding factor in this.
Okay.
EU legislation should be going through either way. Really, for the trajectory we're on, everything seems to be on course to go through in the EU and in California. I'm almost waiting for the other shoe to drop, because right now, our position almost seems too good to be true.
Don't worry, they haven't invited Bricks and Minifigs yet. They need to invite them to the table.
I mean, we've been busting our asses on this.
Surely they have
what
something
we're
to
asking
say.
For are really bare bones, common sense protections. I'm just not used to things going well. Though speaking of which, in California especially, if you want to boost our odds some, we've released instructions on how to do that based on where you live. There's a link in the description. But even if we have a worst case scenario, this legislation is not all we have in play. There's still that lawsuit addressing this issue started by the UFC Courchoisir, recently renamed to Courchoisir Ensemble, and we still have consumer protection investigations going on with the DGCCRF in France, the Verbraucherzentrale in Germany,
What?
and the ACCC
Oh, it's
in
German,
Australia.
of course.
And there are plans to have more states adopt similar legislation like what's going on in California, and maybe get state attorney generals involved in potential lawsuits for violations. So we have a lot of backup plans as well.
Okay,
but
that's
it would be
good.
best to just not even need them. All right, that's it. I think we're in a better position than ever to win this, and I guess we should be thanking the EU Commission for making sure we didn't rest on our laurels. See ya.
Damn. Based. Holy. This guy's a legend. I'm going to leave a link in the description, guys. Obviously, watch this video for yourself. Give him like and a sub. Truly, this man has been doing some work that nobody else has wanted to, but we needed him. Man, we needed him. Quick, make a call to Steven Sharif. Yeah. No, he's probably in his third mention that he did not purchase from all of the funds he siphoned from the company. Don't worry. It's fine. Yeah, I'm scared of Classic Plus. I don't trust Blizzard to not fuck it up. Yeah, same. They will, by the way. But aren't we all, brother? Exactly. It's insane to see all of that, though. I really wish that wasn't the case. Just to kind of summarize, it's crazy to see that the most basic of notions fall on deaf ears, because you know what these people are doing. You know it. And that's what makes it 10 times worse. That you know that they know that you're right, and they're still willing to engage in all of that malpractice because they're in cahoots with big companies. It's such a damn shame. And by the way, same people from the EU, the leadership, there are the ones that advocating for all of the rainbow mafia stuff, all of the inclusivity, all of the fairness. These are the same people. They truly do not care about you, and they only crap from above, right at our mouth.